Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and I finally got my hands on the JB2 by Li Ning, right? So of course this is Jimmy Butler's signature shoe, and the JB1 was a really nice shoe, right? And the JB2 feels pretty dang nice so far as well, but not the price. The price, so I was looking online and the price ranged from like 210 to like 280 bucks on like some sites. You know, it's not the official Li Ning site, so that kind of sucks as far as the price goes. But anyways, this is the breast cancer awareness colorway. You guys can tell with the all pink. But let's get it started right off with the traction. So the traction is pretty interesting, right? So in the first shoe, the JB1, we had actually no rubber. This is all just foam, just like, you know, the Flow, Outsole, and Midsole from like the Currys. But here in the JB2, they switched it up a little bit. They switched it up halfway, right? So here in the forefoot, it seems to be rubber, right? And then here in the heel we have that foam material, and as you guys can see, this is all one piece. This is the foam right here, and it kind of comes here into the midsole, right? This is all just one piece, and then you can see how it's separated right over here, right, with the rubber. And we have this triangle pattern here in the forefoot, but then we have an indentation, right, like the shape of the triangle here in the heel, which is pretty interesting for the shape. There's also a nice little texture to the rubber as well, right? So they're calling this GCU, which stands for ground control unit, and they also call it ground control system, right? So they're saying it's a specially made rubber compound, which is supposed to be way more slip resistant, but also wear resistant as well. So it'll be a little bit more durable. So Li Ning and also Way of Weight are companies that actually really put a whole lot of R&D to their outsoles. You know what I mean? Rubber, I feel like a lot of companies don't really care about rubber that much. They're just like, oh, we'll just slap on some rubber and that's it. You know what I mean? But Li Ning, they say, oh, this is specially formulated, and they also put some numbers. They say it's like 18% better grip, 15% more wear resistant. I don't know how they're getting those numbers, but that's what they say, and I like how they're trying to give us a really good rubber compound, right? So how does it feel so far on my wood floors? It feels really good. So this is one of the first rubber outsoles that actually stops instantaneously and reminds me a lot of Currys, right? Or shoes that kind of like use midsoles as their outsoles, you know what I mean? Like the Flow, it literally stops instantaneously. And this shoe, the JB2, especially here in the forefoot, it just stops instantaneously. And also there is no squeak, it sounds like, you know what I mean? It just stops really, really well on my wood floors. So of course I really like that, but also it's like squeaky but not squeaky, right? So it doesn't squeak when you do this, but when you kind of like go side, like, I don't know, like this, pivoting, it kind of squeak. It's not a squeak, but I don't know, it just sounds like a wet outsole, you know what I mean? But yeah, I really like this rubber compound. And then as far as the durability goes, they are saying it is more wear resistant, but I am a little bit worried because the grooves are not thick at all. You know, with these like triangles, it's not thick. So that does worry me a little bit, especially here in the heel as well. But they are saying it is wear resistant as far as like the formulated material for the actual outsole here in the forefoot and here in the heels. So I feel like you should be okay on an outdoor court, but the traction is feeling really, really good so far. And now moving on to the heel to toe transition, it feels really nice, and I love how this shoe feels right now because it seems like they're using a full length carbon fiber unit, right? So we can see the carbon fiber right here, it's exposed, but it's also, they're also saying it is a specially made carbon fiber that's made into the actual cushioning setup, which is really cool. So here in the heel, of course, we have this like foam type of material, right? And we have a nice curve shape as well. So it's actually pretty soft. There's a little bit of compression in the heel, and with this curved shape, it feels really smooth in the heel. And then the forefoot, we have a very curved shape. Look at that, super duper curved. And then look, because of the carbon, like full length carbon fiber plate, look, it has really nice flexibility, which feels great, but there's also some tension, right? When I push it back and flex it, there's some tension there, and then it wants to spring back, right? So it feels overall really smooth because of the shape, and also because of how soft it is here in the heel, but also because of that springiness out of your first step, and also heel dominant strides are probably going to be springy, just like in the Wild 10. The Wild 10 had that full length carbon fiber plate as well, and just like in the GT Cut 3, you know. So with that, it'll probably feel really nice, which I'm super duper excited about. And now moving on to the cushioning setup. So like I said, here in the heel we have this foam material that's also integrated as the outsole, and there is a little bit of compression for the actual heel. And then for the insole, so the insole is pretty interesting, right? So it feels just like a regular insole, nothing crazy or nothing special. We can see the JB logo. There's also some ventilations in the midfoot area, but also in the forefoot we have this zigzag pattern, right? And we have some added padding as well in the forefoot, which feels very nice, right? And then if you remove the actual insole, we can see a regular strobe board, which I'm kind of sad about. I wish they would have used like a soft mesh strobe board or something like that. But when you feel it, it's actually not super stiff. You know, it doesn't feel like very glued down. For example, like in the Luka 2s and like old school shoes as well. This seems like kind of soft still. You know what I mean? You can definitely feel the boom underneath your foot, and it feels pretty dang nice for stepping comfort, right? So in the heel, you can feel the boom pretty much right underneath your foot. I don't think it's as soft as like the Wild 10 or anything like that, or the AC12, but I feel like this might actually break in pretty nicely, which I do like, right? And also because the carbon fiber plate is like integrated into the actual boom midsole, I feel like they sandwiched it in between like the boom midsole, right? You have boom underneath your foot in the midfoot as well. You know what I mean? So you can feel a little bit of compression right there, because usually they add like a bottom loaded unit, right, for a midfoot chain plate, and also a top loaded one that's right underneath the foot, which makes it pretty stiff here in the midfoot area, you know. But in this setup, we have pretty much full length boom underneath your entire foot, right? Forefoot, midfoot, and heel. So stepping comfort's nice. It feels really comfortable and also feels kind of bouncy. And coupling that with the full length carbon fiber plate, it feels very springy too. So I really like how the cushioning setup feels so far. As far as the court feel goes, the court feel is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's amazing court feel, but it feels better than average. So the court feel seems pretty dang good so far too. So it's a really nice cushioning setup, right? And I feel like it's a pretty nice departure from the JB1, which was a drop-in midsole. And usually I prefer drop-in midsoles, right? Because it's really soft. But the JB2 still feels really nice, right? And now moving on to the upper, so we have boom fiber, right? So this is pretty much individual TPU yarns, and it's a single piece upper as well. And it's really thin, and look at that, look at how airy this is, right? So ventilation, there's a good amount of airflow through this. It is double layered, right? With this boom fiber material, you can see that there is another layer of material underneath this, but it's still extreme. Look at that. It's still extremely thin material. It's also tear resistant, which is gonna be good for durability. But yeah, it feels really nice on foot. It conforms to my foot really well while still being supported and minimal, right? It stays extremely thin here in the midfoot, but then if you look at the actual material, we can see that there are underlying materials that kind of follow from these eyelets, right? It comes from the eyelets all the way down here into the material, into the actual midsole. So there is an underlying material there for extra support. For the tongue, we have very minimal padding, which I don't like as much. I like a very well padded tongue, but it helps make the shoe feel overall a lot more minimal. There's also a lot of ventilation holes through this upper as well. And we have like a half booty construction tongue as well, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then here in the ankle area, we have like pretty minimal padding. And then we have this very fuzzy material in like the heel tab, which feels interesting, right? So overall, the quality of the material feels pretty dang nice, right? Doesn't feel cheap really at all. Usually a material that's this well ventilated and this thin tends to feel a little bit cheaper, right? But I feel like they did a pretty good job with this boom fiber material. So overall, the material does feel pretty dang nice. And now moving on to the fit, I went up half a size and this shoe fits me pretty dang well, but I wish I did go true to size, right? So there is a little bit of length, right? And especially with this boom material, I feel like it scrunches up a little bit here in the toe box, giving it a little bit more of a roomier fit, right? So which I don't like. I like to have a really snug fit here in the toe box. So I wish I went true to size. So if you want a more snug fit, probably go true to size. But if you want a little bit more relaxed, go up half a size. I feel like it's not terrible for me right now, but we'll have to see how it breaks in, right? Because usually, you know, once it breaks in, it does get even roomier for the fits. So there is the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown, I feel like it'll be very good, right? So we have dual TPU pieces. So here in the forefoot, we have this kind of like teeth pattern here, right? And then it kind of comes up acting as a sidewall, which of course is good for lateral containment. And there is an external TPU heel counter with Jimmy Butler's logo in the back of the shoe. So lateral containment feels like it'll be good. You know, all the necessary lateral counters are there. We'll just have to see how supportive this actual material is, right? Hopefully it doesn't move around that much while I'm playing in it. But for lateral containment, it feels pretty good, right? And also lateral stability feels like it'll be good. You know, we can see an outrigger. The forefoot does protrude out a lot, giving you a very wide base here in the forefoot. And I'm not really experiencing any type of heel slippage or anything like that. So overall support and lockdown does feel like it'll be very good. And now moving on to the weight of the shoe, I feel like this shoe will be like average weight, maybe around 12 ounces. Doesn't feel super heavy or super light. Yeah, 12.35 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 12.65 ounces. So let's average that around like 12.4, 12.5 ounces. So yeah, that's literally average weight. And this shoe doesn't feel super heavy. Actually, this upper feels really minimal, right? It just feels a little like, I guess, bottom heavy, kinda, you know, especially here in the heel because you have the crazy external heel counter and stuff. But overall, it feels pretty dang nice on foot. And it also feels like it'll be very responsive. And then moving on to the aesthetics, I really like it. You know, this pink colorway is kind of like, you know, especially with the logo here with this fuzzy type of material. Not a huge fan of this colorway, but the overall silhouette looks really good, right? Especially in some of the other colorways as well. I feel like it looks a little bit better even than the JB1. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yes, the JB2 is feeling extremely nice so far. The traction feels really nice. I really like how it feels instantaneous as far as the stop goes, just like in the Currys. We'll have to see on dust performance though. And then cushion feels nice overall, especially for underfoot cushion. The upper feels really minimal as well. So it's feeling really nice so far. It's just I don't like the price. The price is kind of expensive. But for my first impressions, the JB2 is feeling really nice on foot so far. And I really like how Li Ning puts a lot of thought and R&D to the actual tech of the shoe. Like from the outsole, right? The rubber, we got the plate, we got the cushion, super nice cushion, the boom, which is tear resistant, but they also make it really thin and well ventilated. Support seems to be there so far. So I just love what Li Ning is doing for all the tech that they put into their shoes. So anyways, that about concludes my first impressions look on the Li Ning JB2. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave a link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.